My daughter saved up for months to host a backyard movie night for her friends. She was so proud, setting up the screen, the lights, the snacks. Halfway through the first movie, our neighbor blasted a leaf blower directly into the yard, drowning out the sound, kicking dust into the popcorn. When I begged him to stop, he shouted, "You don't pay enough taxes to dictate what happens around here!" Her friends left embarrassed. My daughter sat under the deflated screen, crying into her hoodie. I've never been a revenge kind of guy. I'm a dad. I pay my taxes, keep my yard mowed, and mind my business. But when someone makes my daughter cry and humiliates her in front of her friends, that flips a switch. This is how Jerry flipped mine. We live in Clovis, California. Not a big town. A normal place. Middle-class families, some retirees, a few people trying to act richer than they are. One of those was Jerry. My neighbor. Kayla, my daughter, is 13. She's the kind of kid that makes you feel like you must have done at least one thing right in life. She's shy around adults, but with her friends? She's a little party planner. For months, she saved up for this idea she had. A backyard movie night. Birthday money. Babysitting. Even dog walking for a lady down the street. She bought an inflatable screen online, strung up some cute lights she got from Target, and found a used popcorn machine at a garage sale. She planned every detail. Blankets. Snacks. Even little glow sticks for her friends. "This is going to be the best night ever, Dad," she told me the night before. I told her it would be. She invited about 10 kids. I stayed mostly out of the way. Just grilled some burgers early and left them alone once the sun went down. I could hear them laughing out there while the first movie started. The Goonies, her pick. Then came Jerry. Jerry had this thing about always making sure people knew he was better than them. At least, that's what he thought. He bought the biggest truck on the block. Always bragged about how much he paid in property taxes. And he hated when people had fun near his yard. I dealt with his nonsense before. Complaints if a ball landed in his yard. Yelling at kids for riding bikes too close to his driveway. But what he did that night crossed a line. About 30 minutes into the movie, just as the kids were getting into the story, I heard it. A leaf blower. At 8:30 at night. At first, I thought it had to be a mistake. Maybe he didn't realize what time it was. I walked to the fence and called over. "Hey, Jerry! Mind cutting that off for a bit? We've got a movie going with the kids." He kept the blower running. Didn't even pause. "You don't pay enough taxes to tell me what to do," he shouted over the engine. Then he aimed the blower over the fence. Leaves, dirt, grass, all of it blasted into our yard. Right into the kids' snacks and popcorn. Some of the younger ones yelped and ducked. Kayla's little popcorn machine tipped over. The screen sagged when the blower caught one of the ropes. I rushed out there, but by the time I got the blower shut down, the damage was done. The movie stopped. The kids started calling their parents. One by one they left. Kayla didn't say anything. She just sat under the deflated screen, hoodie pulled over her head, silent tears rolling down her cheeks. She'd worked so hard. 4 months. And Jerry had destroyed it in less than 5 minutes. That was the night I stopped being a nice neighbor. The next morning, I knocked on Jerry's door. No yelling. No threats. Just calm. He slammed it in my face. I called the HOA. They said since it wasn't construction noise and didn't happen after 10 p.m., it wasn't their problem. Tried the police. They said it was a civil matter. Jerry had money. Friends and city offices. He thought he could treat us however he wanted. So, I made a decision. I wouldn't go over there again. I wouldn't yell. I wouldn't threaten. I would end him in a way he'd never see coming. I started jogging in the mornings. Not for my health. For information. Jerry had patterns. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, gone golfing by 7:30 a.m. Sprinklers ran automatically. Tuesdays and Thursdays, a landscaping crew came while he was out. Saturdays, His cleaning lady showed up around noon. I also checked public records. He wasn't as wealthy as he pretended. Multiple refinances. A couple liens from failed business ventures. His house was his image. If it fell apart, so would his standing in the community. That was my way in. His pride and joy was his brand new irrigation system. Smart timers. Moisture sensors. He bragged about it to everyone at the last block meeting. One morning, when the landscaping crew was there, I dressed in khakis and a polo. Slipped into his yard like I belong. I opened the controller box and rewired the schedule. Set the sprinklers to turn on at completely random times. 2:45 a.m. 11:17 a.m. 4:03 p.m. And when they ran, they soaked the lawn. But I skipped watering on landscaping days, so the yard crew wouldn't notice. By the end of 2 weeks, his yard looked like a swamp in some spots and a jungle in others. The HOA didn't care about noise. But they loved handing out fines for water misuse and overgrown lawns. I created an anonymous email account. Sent photos of the flooding sidewalk. Pointed out it was dangerous and a waste of water during restrictions. 3 violations. Then 5. Each one came with a fine. And mandatory hearings. Jerry had to start paying hundreds just to keep his yard from getting him kicked out of the HOA entirely. Jerry loved status. Golf buddies. HOA meetings. Acting like a big shot. I joined the same golf club where he played. I don't even like golf. But it was worth it. I made casual conversation with some of the other members. Dropped little comments like, "Tough break about Jerry's water fines. Must be hard keeping up with those landscaping bills." Soon the rumors spread. Jerry, the guy who used to brag about his perfect lawn, was now the joke of the club. His friends stopped inviting him to foursomes. At the next HOA meeting, he tried to defend himself. Nobody backed him. Not even his cousin on the city council. I wasn't just going to get revenge. I was going to give Kayla back what Jerry had stolen. I applied for a city block party permit. Not just for our yard, for the whole cul-de-sac. I got other families involved. Most of them hated Jerry by now anyway. We rented a giant inflatable screen. Hired a taco truck. Even booked a small band from the high school to play before the movie. I kept the movie choice a secret until the night of the party. Jerry tried to stop it. Said it would bring unwanted traffic. The permit shut him down cold. He stood on his porch, arms crossed, as families gathered, laughing, sharing food, and laying out blankets in the street. The movie? The Goonies. Kayla sat surrounded by friends, her face glowing in the light of the screen, finally getting the night she deserved. And Jerry? His yard was overgrown, muddy, and silent. But I wasn't done yet. After the block party, things seemed quiet. Jerry didn't come out much. His grass kept growing wild because he didn't want to pay more landscapers while fighting the HOA fines. His once perfect yard became the joke of the neighborhood. Kayla got her movie night back, bigger and better. I thought maybe, just maybe, that was the end of it. I was wrong. About 2 weeks after the block party, a city notice showed up taped to my door. Unpermitted gathering, fine, $1,000. I was stunned. We had all the permits. I'd followed every rule. I called the city clerk. She sounded confused. "This shouldn't have been issued," she said. "You had approval." I pressed her gently. "Who requested the investigation?" She paused. "It was flagged by a citizen complaint, someone named Gerald Matheson." Jerry. He was using his cousin at City Hall to throw wrenches in my life. But he'd made a mistake. Paperwork leaves a trail. I wasn't about to take this lying down. I filed an appeal for the fine. At the hearing, I brought not just the permit paperwork, but also emails, timestamps, and even photos from the event showing the city rep attending. The fine was tossed immediately. But I wasn't done. I filed a formal grievance against Jerry's cousin for abusing their position to issue fraudulent citations. I also copied the local paper and a small community watchdog blog on the complaint. By the following week, not only had my fine vanished, but Jerry's cousin was placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Jerry had lost his inside man. And now, people weren't just annoyed by him. They were starting to fear being associated with him. Jerry's yard was now officially non-compliant. After the 6th HOA fine, the board moved to place a lien on his property. His credit wasn't great, thanks to the previous liens I'd discovered. Refinancing wasn't an option this time. I also knew from my quiet talks with the landscapers, who hated him too, by the way, that his irrigation system had shorted out completely. Between the swampy lawn and electrical damage, the repairs would cost thousands. His house value? Dropping fast. One evening, I found Kayla's movie screen slashed. Not just a small cut. Ruined. Lights ripped down too. Kayla came running out, tears already in her eyes. Dad, why would someone? I didn't have to guess. Jerry. But this time, I wasn't calling the HOA. I wasn't filing reports. This was beyond neighborhood disputes now. It was personal. I quietly visited every house on our block. Most of them had their own Jerry horror stories. Damaged property. Noise complaints. Bullying their kids. I told them what he did to Kayla's screen. By the weekend, we had a plan. Everyone installed motion-activated floodlights along the fences facing Jerry's yard. Every time he stepped outside at night, he got blinded. Someone, I won't say who, started blasting the Goonies soundtrack through hidden speakers every evening. And when Jerry tried to retaliate by calling in false complaints again, not one neighbor backed his claims. In fact, some started documenting his every move. Jerry had isolated himself completely. I knew the financial pressure, the liens, and the social exile were squeezing him. He tried putting his house on the market. But here's the kicker. California's disclosure laws meant he had to reveal the HOA liens, irrigation issues, and neighbor disputes to any potential buyer. Word got out fast. No serious offers came in. Then the real bomb dropped. My contact at the city, a different clerk, one who was furious at Jerry's cousin's abuse of power, told me that the city was planning to issue a public nuisance notice for his overgrown, flooded yard. That would drive down the value even further. Jerry was cornered. But I wasn't done tightening the trap. Jerry was cornered. Financially. Legally. Socially. But even a cornered rat can bite. And he did, one last time. About 3 weeks after the nuisance notice was posted on his front yard, big orange sticker, couldn't miss it, my wife got a call at work. Child Protective Services. Someone had filed an anonymous report saying Kayla was being neglected and exposed to unsafe situations. My wife nearly collapsed at her desk. We never even so much as had a neighbor complaint about Kayla before. When the CPS agent showed up, she was polite but firm. We walked her through our home. Showed Kayla's clean room, her good grades, her doctor's records. Even the photos from the block party where Kayla was surrounded by friends and family. It was clear the agent wasn't buying the report. She wrapped up quickly, quietly saying before she left, "I've seen this before. Angry neighbors trying to weaponize the system. I'll be closing this as unfounded." But Kayla was scared. That's when I knew. No more games. It was time for the end. First, I called my lawyer. Good man. Doesn't advertise on TV. Keeps things quiet. We drafted 2 lawsuits. 1. Defamation and emotional distress for the false CPS report. 2. Property damage for the destroyed movie screen and lights. The defamation suit meant Jerry's financial records, texts, emails, and phone records could be subpoenaed. When served, Jerry tried to bluster. "You have no proof!" That's when one of the other dads from the block stepped forward. He was an IT specialist. He'd helped install the motion sensors and cameras after Jerry trashed Kayla's movie setup. Guess what they caught? Footage of Jerry, in a hoodie, slashing the screen. Time-stamped. Crystal clear. And while combing through the footage, my tech-savvy neighbor also caught Jerry's car parked outside the CPS office the same day the false report was filed. The lawyers had all they needed. Jerry tried to settle privately. Offered me $10,000. I laughed in his face. This isn't about money anymore. We went to court. It got ugly fast. His cousin couldn't help him, still under investigation himself. The judge ordered Jerry to pay $35,000 in damages for the property destruction and distress, plus court costs. But that wasn't the worst part for him. With the nuisance violations, liens, court judgments, and now the public lawsuit, his mortgage company declared him in default. The house went into foreclosure. The day Jerry moved out, it wasn't like a big movie moment. No shouting. No final threats. He just loaded his truck quietly while the neighborhood watched. Kayla stood by my side, holding my hand. As Jerry backed out of his driveway, his truck stopped for a moment. He rolled down the window. For a second, he looked like he might say something. But instead, he just shook his head and drove off. Gone. The new family who bought Jerry's house. Wonderful people. 2 kids. They've already been to 3 of our block parties. Kayla? She's planning this summer's movie night already. Says she wants to make it even bigger this time. When she asked if Jerry might ever come back, I told her the truth. He lost more than just a house. He lost his place here. And people like that? They never come back. And that's how I learned, revenge doesn't just mean hurting someone. Sometimes, it means making sure they can never hurt you again.